Hi there, I hope you're well. In this one I'm going to be making a picture frame like this, but just using a Tracksaw, a plunge saw. This came about after a question over on 10 Minute Workshop Plus by Dafydd, the Deaf Maker, on Instagram and YouTube. I've never done one, to be perfectly honest, but I thought it might be interesting to try. Picture frames aren't complex, but the corners do need to be exactly 45 degrees and those cuts perfectly perpendicular. So I'll be using the little mitre jig that we made recently, and I've got some nice straight 3x1 softwood timber to use for the frame. I'm actually replacing a picture frame so I can take all the dimensions off that. I'd like the grain of the wood to continue around the frame, so I'm measuring each inside leg in order, adding on the mitre to get the overall length and marking them up as I go, remembering to add in a little bit of wiggle room for the blade kerf. Okay, so that's marked up, no problem. Looking at the board a little bit more closely, there's a little bit of damage on the what's going to be the top edge. I'm not going to worry about that too much. I'm actually just going to make the frame up, and then I can always just clean up the edges with the Tracksaw. So that's okay. Get that cut to length, then we get the mitres done. The trimming jig was just there on the bench, so I thought I might as well use it for the straight cuts. It works well. Okay, that's not so bad. One thing I have noticed, there's a very slight, before we cut the mitres, there's a very slight millimetre and a half difference in thickness between the 19mm rail and fence on the jig and the actual thickness of the plain 3x1. Plain 3x1 usually comes up around 21-22mm. So I can just add in a little bit of corrugated packaging just to keep that rail nice and stable. It's just the right thickness. So I'll do that now and we'll get the mitres cut. With the jig reset to a 45-degree cut, it's easy to line up the 3x1 and get it cut to length. A big benefit of a jig like this, of course, is that the workpiece is supported on 3 sides, so you'll have minimal tear out in real tree meat like this Scandinavian redwood. When you make a frame, it's important that each opposite side or leg is identical, so be sure to check them against each other and trim them back if you need to. And with all the mitres cut, I can get rid of the jig and try a dry fit on the bench. Yeah, all right, that's not bad. A little bit of unevenness in the board, interestingly, which is throwing me off. And I thought I was getting a line here. It's actually a pencil line. But yeah, you know, eight mitres cut on a plunge saw. I'm very happy with those. So now we're going to flip that over, figure out where we want the rebate to go, and we'll get that cut quickly as well. Yeah, but good. All looking good. I've clamped the frame down, and using the acrylic cover with the bench-dog centering ruler, I can mark the rebate depth and then continue that all around the frame using a combi square. So I'm setting up to cut the rebates here. If you've seen any of the other videos where I do this kind of thing, it's exactly the same really. We've cut to a depth. We can clamp this flush with the top of the bench and make another cut, overhanging slightly. I've got a piece of MDF just clamped to the front apron here, so we can replace these easily, and we know that they come back into the right kind of place. So we get a consistent depth I am going to run a test, of course. Clamp that in quickly. And I'm just going to set the distance with a sliding square, combination square. Then I can get a clamp on the rail and make our test cut. And with the test cuts looking pretty sweet, I can crack on with the rest of the rebates. Bench cleared, and it's time for the final dry fit and to check that the picture really does fit the frame. All looking good. I'll be using CA glue for this. It's a lightweight frame for my own home. It won't be transported anywhere or handled roughly, so a few dabs of O3 thick CA adhesive and a spritz of accelerator and we're in business. I'll be staining the frame black, so I'm using the black CA glue just in case there's any squeeze out, and I'm pressing the miters together into a known square to avoid any issues later on. The last leg of the frame is always the tricky one, as you're dealing with two miters in one hit, so I've clamped the legs of the frame to the bench to stop any movement. These miters are pretty good though, so I've no issues getting everything snugged up nice and tight. As I mentioned earlier, I'm cleaning up the edges of the frame with the Tracksaw. And then sanding it all back with P180 abrasive, paying particular attention to those freshly cut edges. Time for a bit of colour, and I'm using the Chestnut Spirit stain in black. It wipes on easily with a stockinette cloth and dries really fast. Fast enough for me to get a couple of coats on all around front and back. I like to leave the rebate alone though, as you wouldn't want any of that colour to transfer onto a precious piece of artwork. There are lots of ways you could finish this: varnish, oil, wax, shellac, but I'm using a simple rattle can matte finish lacquer, as it dries really fast and it won't affect what's in the frame or the wall that it's hanging on. You must use these lacquers in a well ventilated space though, and a good quality P3 face mask is recommended. With everything fully dry, I can get the print into the frame. I'm no framer, but I know enough to know that this isn't the recommended way of doing things. Again, this is for my own home. Feel free to do whatever you like for your own home, or to check out other channels here on YouTube if you feel the need for picture framing advice. I would normally use glazing points to fit this in, but I don't know where they are, to be perfectly honest. But that is not looking too shabby at all. I'm very happy with how the frame's gone together. Very happy with how that print looks in the frame, and the whole thing is much more contemporary looking than the frame we had before, much more in keeping with the rest of the stuff we've got in our house. I'm going to call this one done for now, though. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you found it interesting and useful. You know, a simple frame made with just a Tracksaw, just a plunge saw, and a little mitre box that we made out of scrap last week, all done from a tenner's worth of 3x1 redwood and a bit of stain and some rattle can lacquer. Really is as easy as that to do. Could make an excellent last minute gift idea, by the way. But I'm going to call this one done for now. This is actually my last scheduled post of this year, of 2022. I will be back in the new year, but not until February, because I'm going to take a break in January from posting regularly here on YouTube. I'll continue to post the usual exclusive member content over at 10 Minute Workshop Plus. But for now, this is the last one for a few weeks. I wish you all the best for the festive fortnight, and I'll catch you sometime in February. All right, take care.